Let's once again highlight the important points in all the models. Okay. We are going to highlight now the important points. In waterfall, uh, remember proper prior step completion, then documentation, then slide backlash or no backlash. A slide backlash or no backlash. Then in prototyping, knowledge exploitation. Then these are the, I think, just a minute. Yes, the after this they have given here. These are the generic phases of prototype. Generic phases. This is also important point here. Then in incremental, it is a series of mini waterfalls. There is knowledge exploitation here and little backlash is there. Okay. Little backlash is there. It is not the case that there is no backlash. Huh? There only little backlash is there. There is spiral method, combination of top down, bottom up, combination of waterfall plus prototype. Then directly never ending. Okay, never ending. Also remember this gaming industry. For this specifically, remember the example of gaming industry. Then RAD method. Here, remember the violation point. It is an important point. If this point is not there in the answer, they might cut half of your marks. Then after this, quick reviews. The rest of the points you can write on your own. Then in agile, conceptual modeling. Okay, remember this point, conceptual modeling. Then outside integration and documentation. It is not very extensive. It is crisp and to the point documentation. So whatever points I've highlighted, you have to first remember these points, then remember the rest of the points. Okay, so that there is a flow. Your answer must have these highlighted points 100%. Now tell me, uh, are you supposed to explain these points or you have to just translate them into sentences? Do you have to explain top down, bottom up approach when explaining spiral method?
No, sir.
Okay, please understand you don't have to explain this. Write them in one or two sentences only and make sure that the points you are writing they are related to the marks awarded. Okay, don't write 8 points to 10 points only for 4 marks. Write only 6 to 7 points. That is enough. But make sure that whatever 6 to 7 points are you are writing, in that these highlighted points are there. For example, there is a 4 mark or 3 mark question of agile. You have to tell that there is a conceptual modeling, the documentation is crisp and to the point, and outside integration, there is a lack of attention towards the outside integration while developing an agile model or developing a software using agile model. Okay. So let's see the let's see a new question now. Okay. Business process design. Again, here we will take the example of the gaming industry just for understanding purposes. Now, first, I have developed this game. Then I have introduced a lot of features and modes. Then I have made it online and offline accessible. Now the problem is the lag in internet. So I have uh, done data compression to remove that problem of lag in internet. Then I have installed anti-cheating system to make sure that hackers are not hacking the details of the customers or the users of the game. Then, so I have done structuring. What I have done is I have done structuring. I am going to do one process at a time instead of doing all processes at one time. First, I am going to do. I am going to remove the lags. Then I am going to install anti-cheating system. Then whatever factors are there, I am going to prepare a design of it and I am going to structure it into my software. So that is called as structuring activities. We are only going to do structuring of those activities which were not done by us earlier. Okay, these are not the processes that we had earlier. These are the new processes that we are installing and introducing into our business. So we are going to do structuring of new processes or new things. Okay, this is new. Now what is restructuring the activities? Now imagine that I have mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. My first mode of gaming was multiplayer, then individual player, and then ranking based playing. Okay, ranking based something. So these were the three modes earlier. Now what I have found is that people are very happy with multiplayer mode and individual mode, but nobody is playing rank based mode. So instead of taking many efforts in rank based mode, what I will do is I will abandon this and whatever resources are available here, I will use them in individual player mode and in multiplayer mode. So what I've done is basically restructuring. In accounting also we have seen what is restructuring, that we are going to reduce the preference share capital, the amount of surplus, whatever is remaining, we are going to distribute as a dividend. So these are basically restructuring activities. Now where we can do this, we are doing this in the design itself, so that later once the software is developed, we may not face these many problems. So in the design stage itself, we are going to do structuring and restructuring activities, structuring for new processes, restructuring for existing processes. Then the critical step is to understand the SRS. Or what is the SRS? It is a system requirement statement. If you don't understand what is required by this software, or suppose in this example a game, now in your game it must have internet accessibility, then automatic updation, and many other points. So you have to understand that your game may require these in future. If you don't add the feature that it can be automatically updated, then the users may have to install the entire system software again once you have updated. So you have to make sure that you introduce these features in the design stage itself and you understand the system requirement. SRS is system requirement statement. Then it needs intellectual capabilities. You need a lot of experience in designing. Designing a game is not a joke. It takes a lot of expertise, efforts, and experience, and it is prepared by a team of developers, obviously, because they are going to be the one who are going to update it later or make changes or updations. So have you understood this business process design? What do we do in business process design? We do structuring and restructuring of activities. It is very critical to understand the requirements of the system. We need intellectual capabilities and it is done by a team of developers. Only 4 points you have to remember. This is not a very hard question, but if you don't understand what is structuring, restructuring, and the other points, it is a bit difficult to remember. Okay, remember again the gaming example here for business process design. Okay, have you understood? Shall we move on to the next question?
So do we have to study the present process documentation, process documentation, and implementation of new process, sir? The next part, because much of it was not given. It was just given in 2 or 3 lines. Is just enough for this business
Yes,
process
yes.
design,
What we
is it,
will
sir?
do is we will finish all the basic questions first, and then because I think you are referring to a question that we are going to cover in the next maybe 2 or 3 questions. I think the question is what are the steps in implementation of a new process, right? Okay, let me just browse.
Yes, sir. It does come under business process design. So I thought it was, yeah, the business process design sequential steps. It is.
I think you are talking about question number. Yes, is this the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are the steps only relating to process. We are not talking about designing here. So you can basically remember Manish Malhotra here in business process design. The team of Manish Malhotra is doing designing and all. Okay, shall we continue? Have you understood what is business process design? Okay, fine. Now we will
Yes, sir.
see what is the accountant's involvement in development work. Okay, this accountant is not a auditor. Understand the difference, accountant and auditor. Accountant is only going to do recording of the financial information. What he's supposed to do is he's supposed to combine his knowledge about IT, what are the information systems used in the organization, which systems I am responsible to use or I have to use, and how that system is integrated with other systems. For example, if I'm using TPS MIS, I have to understand how it is linked with DSS, or if I give input in this system, how DSS will interpret it. So I have to combine my accounting knowledge and IT knowledge. Then I also have to understand the objectives of the business policies, procedures, standards, guidelines. Then obviously I need to have accounting knowledge. Then only internal controls I have to understand. I don't have to design them, implement them or maintain them. I have to just understand what are the internal controls, so that in that framework I have to work and conduct my, sorry, not conduct audit, I have to complete my work. Then communications. Now the levels of management, they require certain information. I have to understand what is the information I must communicate to the lower level management, middle level management, and top level management. As per that, I will combine my knowledge. So these are the 3 subjects, and these are the 2 concepts. So I have to combine knowledge of these 5 points. I am uniquely qualified to participate because nobody there is going to understand how to record the financial information in the team of developers. It is going to be me who is going to sanction the transactions for purchase or acquisition of software requirements. Then we are doing this for future purposes, that we can keep a track of what has happened, what are the phases of the system development, what were the problems we faced in either testing or in implementation and all. If you are involving the accountant, it will not just give you the view of a expert, but because he is going to be the user in the organization, you will also get a user's view. So user testing will also be accomplished if we allow the accountant to participate. Okay, so only 3 points are there. Combine your knowledge, participate. If they don't allow you to participate, then you have to tell them why they should let you, that you are uniquely qualified, and then we are going to keep on making documentation for future purpose. Okay, so this was an easy question. Then, in what aspects accountant should help system development? So these are already established. Even if no one is telling the auditor to do this, he has to do this on his own. People are relying on him for doing this. Calculation of return on investment. He will get the data from the management regarding cost and benefits. Now let's see how we'll calculate this return on investment. We will see what is the development cost. Okay, we will see the SRA statement. Then the system acquisition documents. And other details, that what are the salary that we are paying the program developer and all. Then we will see what is the operating cost. Okay, I will just write down here the formula of the operating cost. It is COGS plus normal business expenditure. It is COGS plus normal business expenditure. What does normal business expenditure mean? It means that it happens in conducting our daily routine operations. For example, loss by fire, loss on sale of car. This is not that something happens in ordinary course of business, but if I am making payment for printing and stationery, traveling expenses, advertisement expenses, you can tell them as they are the operating cost. Okay, operating cost is also called as OPEX. Now, this operating expenditure with other concept is NOPEX. What is NOPEX? It is non-operating expenditure. Just as I told you, that is the expenditure that you incur not normally in ordinary course of business. So, the magnitude is different, the nature is different. For example, if you are incurring a profit on sale of investment, or if you are receiving a dividend, it is not operating income, it is non-operating income. So you have to understand the difference between the operating expenditure, then what is non-operating expenditure. Similarly, you have to understand what is operating income and non-operating income. And as per that, you have to calculate operating cost. Then you will calculate what is intangible cost. Now, what is intangible cost? Whatever copyrights, IPRs, trademarks, patents, software related assets that you are creating or you are purchasing, it is called as intangible cost. Okay, if you are purchasing a software or any process in a software, you will not record it in tangible asset under fixed assets. You will record it under intangible assets. So that cost of purchase of those intangible assets, it is called as intangible cost. Now, benefits, they can either be tangible or intangible. What does this benefits mean tangible? Here you have calculated that before development of the software itself, we have done a forecasting that if you make these changes in the system, that we will be able to have these all benefits. So which are measurable, we will just call them as tangible. Now, what are the intangible benefits? Instead of saying it is not measurable, just tell that it is difficult to measure, but you have to give an explanation for that in the cost benefit analysis. So this is basically what this is a cost benefit analysis. Using this, you will calculate the return on investment. And now how you will calculate this return on investment? It is a very basic sales minus COGS, what you will get is you will get gross profit, then minus operating expenditure, non-operating expenditure, plus income, non-operating income and non-operating income. Then you will get the net profit. You will get net profit. This net profit divided by capital employed is your return on investment. This is you have seen this in financial management in intermediate course. What is capital employed? Capital employed is shareholder funds plus long-term debt. Okay. Capital employed is shareholder funds plus long-term debt. Now tell me, do you have to write all this calculation in exam? How to calculate return on investment? Yes, are you listening?
We need not write.
Okay, we are not supposed to write. I am just telling you in detail so that if you get opportunity, you can explain this in detail. Okay, because in interviews they will just directly ask you, how will you calculate return on investment on system development? You are going to tell them this procedure directly. Because see, I have done a lot of interviews, and if someone asks you how to calculate return on investment, you must be able to tell them on the spot how to do that, because we are chartered accountants. If we don't know this, they are expecting the first thing from us to calculate return on investment. We must know the entire procedure. So I have that is the reason why I have given all this procedure, because even if you don't remember the content, you have to write in the exam, and if this question comes for 6 marks, you will know this content to write in the exam. Then computing cost of IT implementation and cost benefit analysis. Okay, we have calculated here. Now we are going to compute. Now what is IT implementation? Whatever the testing that we have done, or whatever the implementation related costs are there, such as a review and all, we will just compute them. So this is just a summary point. And what are the skills expected from us? We must understand what are the business objectives and what are the system development efforts. Because if you don't understand the efforts used that are required for system development, we will not honor them. Okay, we will just keep on saying that why we need to incur such a high cost for this. If you don't understand the importance of a single alteration in the unit specification and all, you won't honor the efforts. So you have to understand the system development efforts also. Okay, have you understood this question? Any doubts? Okay, remember these points of operating cost, intangible cost and all. You have to write them as it is in exam. Don't explain it in detail, just write a few lines. Okay, maximum 4 to 5 lines. Okay. I will just save this. Now we are talking about auditor. Okay, we are not talking about now accountant, we are talking about auditor. What is the auditor's role in SDLC, system development life cycle? Okay, now he is not going to design, implement, maintain controls. He is going to provide opinion regarding what? Regarding the efficiency, effectiveness and economy of the project management. Whether the project was handled in a correct manner or not. We are basically evaluating the work done by the project manager, whether it was efficient, effective, and whether economy was maintained or not. Then we have to see whether the system provides us audit trails. What are audit trails? It is basically a log of all the activities. We have to maintain it. Okay. Then we have to see that whether due to audit trails, integrity of data is maintained, the trails are adequate, and whether the controls that we have maintained, such as a log, whether it is effective or not, whether we are able to do DRP using that or not. What is DRP?
Detecting unauthorized access, reconstructing events, and P is
Yes, it is personal accountability. Okay.
personal account.
Yes. So here you have to see this. Whenever this term comes up in audit trails, you are supposed to just revise the entire concept again from the chapter number 6. Then after we have provided the opinion and we have talked about the audit trails, now we will attend the meetings. We will attend the meetings now. Observe the documentations. Here we have to observe the documentation for all the phases, not just randomly. For each and every phase, we have to see the documentation, whether any infructuous expenditure was done or not, useless expenditure was done or not. Then we have to adapt a rating system. Whatever expenditure was done, whether it was required or not, as per that we will give a rating from 1 to 10 as to how happy he is with the case, whether it's performance and other benefits. Then he will see the cost benefit analysis done by the accountant, whether any changes are required, whether he has done any mistakes or not. Then he will see the post implementation review, whether objectives were achieved or not, and if they were not achieved, what were the reasons for difference. Just a minute. So these are the points you need to remember about auditor's role in SDLC. First, we will give an opinion regarding EEC of project management. Then we will talk about audit trail, whether confidentiality, integrity, availability is there or not, whether the controls are effective or not, whether we can do DRP or not. Then in post implementation review, we will see that whether objectives are being achieved or not, and if there are any differences, what are the reasons for differences. Then we'll attend the meetings, then adapt the rating system, and then do the cost benefit analysis. So these were the points in auditor's organization. Yes, any point you want me to explain? Have you understood this?
Sir, is it enough to write just these points, sir, if this question comes in exam?
See, what you will write in the exam with the question that auditor's role in SDLC. You will tell that it is the auditor's responsibility to provide opinion regarding the efficiency, effectiveness, and economy in relation to the project management. He is basically evaluating the work done by the project manager. Then your next point will be, he must also ensure whether the system provides audit trails, whether confidentiality, integrity, availability of data is being maintained or not, whether we are able to do detect unauthorized access, reconstruction of events, and personal accountability is maintained or not. Then you have to write that we are also supposed to attend meetings and observe documentations for each and every phase of system development life cycle. Then, for ensuring that the expenditure is done for the necessary purposes, we will adapt a rating system for each phase of SDLC. We will do the rating from 1 to 10. Then the cost benefit analysis data, we will derive it from the accountant. We will make sure that all the calculations are correct, and if any deficiencies are there, accordingly we will make those adjustments. Then in post implementation review, you will write that whether the objectives were achieved or not, and for all the deficiencies, what were the reasons, and we will document the same. So what you have to do is you have to just give it a flavor of the chapter. You have to introduce some technical words, and just make sure that your answer has covered all these points. Okay, just instead of headings, you have to just translate them into sentences.
Yes,
Okay, have
sir.
you understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know that I'm taking it very fast because this is just how I remember. Just by looking at the points, I can come up with the answer. And sometimes my answer, it looks better than the ICI's answer, because even ICI cannot write with that much conceptual clarity. If you compare my notes for chapter number 3, protection of information system, even ICI notes have not explained it in that detail, or even ICI is not explaining in detail how to do return on investment, how to calculate it. So your answers will always differ with the ICI. Just make sure that these points are there.
Yes, sir.
Let's move forward.
So the control considerations of the auditor need not be studied, sir.
Controls we have already seen in chapter number 3, na? Yes, is there any specific question for that? What are the control considerations for auditor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think it is also there. Okay, you just have to wait till all the questions are over. Okay, I don't think. Yes, is this the question you are asking?
No, sir. It consists of roughly about 10 to 12 points.
There are 12 points, sir.
Okay, just refer that question to me. We will complete it later before taking up chapter number 7. We will just complete the remaining questions now. Now let's see what are the sequence of steps. Whenever you are introducing a new process, what all you have to do? What are the steps? First, we will do present process documentation. Okay, UDA, you have to say it is UDA. What is UDA? You will understand the existing business and activities. Then you will document the processes, understand, document, and analyze. Okay, that is the only thing you have to remember in present process documentation. It is not very difficult. Then proposed process documentation. You will understand what is the requirement of a new process, why we are talking about it. Then as per that, we will go to Manish Malhotra. We will tell him that we need all these changes. He will design the new process. He will prepare documentation of new process. Then we will implement that process. Okay, VT. What is VT? Validating and testing. We will validate whether all the requirements have been met or not. And then we will do functional and performance testing accordingly. Okay, so this was also a very easy question. Just remember present, proposed, and implementation. Present, process, proposed, and implementation. For present, remember UDA, UD3 or 3D, and VT. Okay, so this is also one easy question. After this, what are the advantages of SDLC? Why we are learning this chapter? What is the importance of this chapter? It helps us in better planning. Who does it help? Does it help the auditors? No, it helps the project managers. If you have a process, if you have divided it into eight phases, and in those 8 phases you have talked about it in detail, how to do testing, how to do unit testing, how to do batch testing and all. It will help you in planning beforehand. Then it compliance with the standards. It can be either quality standards or programming standards or even customer standards. So if you are doing SDLC, you have to remember that in the programming stage, you are going to consider programming standards. Then in during doing the system requirement statement documentation, you are supposed to keep in mind the customer specifications and then the quality standards. So if you have the knowledge of SDLC, you will understand when and how these standards are to be used. Then whatever documentation we are doing, we have to communicate it to all the levels of management. And then after we have developed the software, we have to sign it off after verification whether it is working properly or not. So just remember this as Dr. CB. Just remember it as Dr. CB. Here just remember that you are talking from the point of view of project manager. Okay, it will help the project manager in planning, in compliance with standards, in communication and sign off. Okay, remember project manager and you will remember how to write the entire answer. Okay, this was another easy question regarding advantages of SDLC. Now, advantages from IS audit point of view. Information system audit point of view. Here, after learning this chapter, we will have a clear understanding of phases. What is the documentation required? We have already seen SRS documents and all. Then again, we will prepare a report about compliance with the management procedures, whether the team of developers, whether they have followed all the acceptable usage policies or not, whether they are following the management procedures or not. Then if we have technical knowledge, unless and until we have technical knowledge, we will not move forward. If we have technical knowledge, only then we will guide others in SDLC. And we will also evaluate the methods and technique used in the system development. So if you have technical knowledge, what you will do is, you will do two things. You will guide others and you will evaluate methods and techniques. Okay. Only if you have technical knowledge. If you don't have it, don't do it. Obviously, we are going to report the compliance and all. Here, just focus on this auditor and technical knowledge, and you will be able to write the answer. Auditor, what does auditor do? Understanding and reporting. If you have knowledge, you can do the remaining two things. Okay. Okay, now only 1 minute is remaining. I will just stop this recording for 1 minute and then we'll continue.